Yo, what is up guys? It's Pedro here, and in today's video I will be talking about the Washington Commanders holding a private workout for quarterback Carson Strong and tight end Cole Turner. I'll also talk about the pro day that the Washington Commanders are hosting that has over 20 players, including guard Zion Johnson and Maryland safety Nick Cross. We'll talk about all that and what it means for the Washington Commanders in this year's draft. So if you guys are new, make sure to subscribe for Washington and NFL content, trying to hit 7,500 subscribers. So please help me get there. Also hit that like button and turn on those notifications so you never miss a video, and follow the Twitter, trying to get to 1,000 followers on there. Now let's get right into the video. Okay, so let's start off with the Carson Strong thing first. So I'll read this right here from Ben Stanek of The Athletic. He says the Washington Commanders held a private draft workout this week for quarterback Carson Strong and tight end Cole Turner, per sources. Offensive coordinator Scott Turner was among those there for Washington. So I do not think this counts as a top 30 visit. If you don't know what a top 30 visit is, basically each team gets 30 visits with some of the top prospects in the draft. They obviously get to choose, and those prospects get to come in, and the team gets a better sense of who the player is, the person is. Maybe the player will break down some film for them, and they also get a better sense of their medicals. So guys with injury histories, those guys are going to be, a lot of those guys are going to be in the top 30 visits. So someone like John Mechie for the Washington Commanders, who recently tore his ACL, and there's other guys as well. So this is not a visit, but they're still obviously meeting with each other afterwards. They probably got a medical on Carson Strong and Cole Turner as well, so they get a better sense of the player and the person without actually having to use a visit. And the Washington Commanders also did meet with quarterback Carson Strong at the Senior Bowl, so they got a better sense of him there, and they had some scouts and coaches there at the Senior Bowl, so they definitely have a good sense of who Carson Wentz is, the person, and probably the player as well. The bigger issue is the medical, and Carson Strong is one of the most intriguing quarterback prospects in this class because he has one of the best arms in this class for sure, probably top 2, top 3 arm in this class, but his injury history is pretty terrifying. I think he has 2, maybe 3 torn ACLs in his career. Recently had one before this past college season, and he came back from it pretty quick, and he had a solid season, but his ACL, he came back quicker than he probably should have, and it definitely limited his mobility last season, and we'll see how much it limits his mobility in the future. But he's definitely an intriguing prospect. Real quick, let's look at him. 6'4", 215 pounds, and pretty good production these last couple years. In 2020, threw for 2,900 yards, 27 touchdowns, and 4 interceptions. They probably played less games because of the pandemic. And in 2021, 70% completion percentage, 4,200 yards, 36 touchdowns, and 8 interceptions. So the production is there for sure. I mean, you cannot deny the production right there is up there with the top QBs of this year's class. But the injuries are very, very concerning, and the lack of mobility is concerning as well. So that's probably his biggest negative right there, is the injury history, and because of that, the lack of mobility that he has. Because if he didn't have those injuries and he was a little bit more mobile, he probably would be a first-round quarterback, if not second at the latest. And now he's probably going to go in like the 3rd round, maybe 4th round. You look at the rushing numbers, I mean, not very good at all. I mean, a lot. Negative 208 yards. I mean, I'm assuming he kneeled a lot, because that is very, very, very low. Real quick, this isn't going to be a whole Carson Strong video, so we'll give you guys a quick, recap of who the player is. We already went over that. 6'4", 226 pounds. His NFL comparison is Drew Bledsoe. So let's look at his strengths. A-rated consistency and production since 2020. We talked about that. Team captain. Took good care of the football in the red area. That's very, very important. Adequate pocket slide to find cleaner launch point. One of the best arms in the draft. Elite combination of velocity and touch. Release is effortless and can come from a variety of angles. and can make precision throws between coverage levels, throw receivers away from trouble. You love to see that. Like Heinicke last year was not doing that at all, and we need someone who can do that. We'll see if Carson Wentz can do it for us this year. Some of the weaknesses: medical history is a significant red flag. That is the biggest knock on him, in my opinion, lacking in his pre and post snap response to pressure. Surgeries on right knee have robbed him of mobility. Unwillingness to get the ball out quickly leads to sack. That is something that I do not like at all, and that is something that's definitely correctable though. Need to prove he can become a full field reader, allows high safeties to get a head start over the top. You guys can read the rest of it right there. So let's go to the sources. Tell us the medicals are what they are, but it also depends on how each team's doctors see it. He's going to move around like an old Phillip Rivers, but he's got special arm talent, a director of scouting for an NFC team. So that's the key part right there. The medicals are what they are, but it also depends on how each team's doctors see it. Well, the thing is, we don't have a head athletic trainer. We don't have that head guy. And if we did, maybe we would be taking some more risks on these guys that have, injury histories or are coming off of injuries, like Jameson Williams, John Mechie, and Carson Strong. Carson Strong is more of an issue because, it's more than one injury. It's multiple. Jameson Williams, I think it's just that one ACL injury. He should be good. But you usually want your head guy looking at that, just making sure it's all good. But I think they still could draft Jameson Williams, but just less likely than usual. So I definitely like Carson Strong. But I, first off, don't really think we need to draft the quarterback this year because the quarterback class is not great. And we traded for, Carson Wentz. And, maybe if Ritter was there in the second or Howell was there in the second, do I want to do it? No. But would I be okay with it? Sure. We don't have a third round pick. That's probably where he's going to go. Maybe he goes in the fourth. But we have bigger holes, in my opinion, to fill, like receiver, linebacker, free safety, interior offensive line depth, defensive line depth before going to quarterback, because we already have one of the best backup quarterbacks in the league in Taylor Heinicke. And we don't need another guy unless you think he can be a starting quarterback in this league. We don't need to draft a guy to be a backup. Like if that's all they think he can be, then you can draft one of those guys in the 7th round. Like you don't need to do it here. So those are my thoughts right there. I don't know. The injuries just are a little bit too much. It's a big red flag. Multiple ACL tears, and you don't know how he's going to come back from it. If he's able to stay healthy, he might be a solid quarterback, like a really good backup, maybe a low-end starter, but I don't know. They also met with Cole Turner. Not going to go into too much detail about him, but he's about 6'6", 240 pounds. So that's a monster right there. And with Carson Strong over the last couple years, he had some pretty good seasons, back-to-back, over 600 yards seasons, 9 touchdowns in 2020, 10 touchdowns in 2021. So they got a better look at another tight end prospect. So that is definitely good. And I We hosted a bunch of guys from Maryland and Virginia, or a couple guys from Maryland. Nick Cross, safety, who might go in the 2nd, 3rd round. The Maryland tight end, who, a lot of people really like. Zion Johnson, Boston College, who might be one of the first guards off the board. He's going to go likely in the 1st round. And, if Washington traded back, maybe they take him. I don't think you should really take a guard in the 1st round unless they're dominant like Quentin Nelson or Zach Martin, but it is an option. It definitely is an option. But this is a good opportunity for Washington to host this local pro day. Take a look at a bunch of guys. Like most of these guys are going to be 6th to 7th round guys, but getting a better look at these guys that really most of these guys did not have a pro day, like Villanova not having a pro day, a lot of these colleges not having a pro day, like that is very valuable information to have. So they're going to get a better sense. A lot of these guys are going to be 5th to 7th round guys, and you don't have a ton of information with these guys because most of them didn't go to the Senior Bowl. Most of them, some of them did not go to the Combine. A lot of them didn't have pro days already. So you're getting a better sense of these guys. And, that might put them at an advantage against some teams that weren't able to do so. So I definitely like that they did this. And Nick Cross is definitely an option for the Washington Commanders. Free safety is kind of a position of need. And, he's going to be drafted probably pretty early. You look at his, numbers, 6'1", 210 pounds. And this past season for Maryland, 66 tackles, 3 sacks, 2 forced fumbles, 3 interceptions. And, had 1 interception the year before and 2 in 2019. You look at kind of the scouting report on him right there. So they have him ranked pretty low, actually, a 66. So we'll see. Or maybe that's just next gen stats rating. But 4.34 40-yard dash, that is a very, very, very good time. 37-inch vertical, that is solid for sure. Broad jump, not really sure what's a good score there. Didn't run the 3-cone, 20-yard shuttle, or 60-yard shuttle, or do the bench press. Funny enough, his NFL comparison is Cameron Curl, so might not be that free safety, but Cameron Curl can play free safety. So we'll read the overview this time instead of going through every single one of the strengths and weaknesses. So Cross operated as the bouncer of the Maryland defense, playing with aggression and explosiveness to throw opponents out of the club. He is a chase player who seeks to make a statement upon impact and has impressive stopping power near the line or as an open field tackler. He's a tight-hipped linear mover, so flipping and flying are not his strong suit. He's capable of matching with most flavors of tight end and will be most comfortable in coverages that allow him to play with a downhill trigger. He has a temperament, size, and toughness to become an eventual starter in this league. So it might not be a free safety, but he's probably going to be a safety in this league. And it sounds like he could be a candidate. Like, let's say if Washington drafted him to be that Buffalo nickel position. You guys can see some of the strengths and weaknesses, not as many as usual, but you guys can see them right there. So draft is approaching, less than 2 weeks away. I am very, very excited. And I will give you guys an update on every player that Washington's met with. This doesn't count. These are guys that they just had at the pro day. But again, I think it's a good thing that they're doing because they get a better sense of each one of these players that are going to go in the late rounds, and other teams don't really get to do this. I'm not sure, how many. I know other teams do host local pro days, but I'm not sure how many teams actually do it. So thank you guys for watching. Hope you guys did enjoy the video. If you did, please hit that like button, subscribe if you guys are new, and comment down below what you guys think about Carson Strong. Peace, guys.